Hi, Glenn Samuel here. Thanks for joining me at Sniper Photography. Look, today I want to talk to you about 5 myths that exist in photography today. And these 5 constantly pop up in various forums and photography channels or Facebook, Instagram, any of the social media sites. And these 5 myths really, they need to be spoken about and they need to be highlighted because they're not really correct. But I'll read them out. I've got my iPad here, so I'll read them out. And the first number one myth is to take professional images you need a professional camera. Well, no you don't. You don't need a professional camera to take professional images. Simple as that, you just don't. What you need to do is learn how to use the equipment that you have, because people seem to think, well, I need to go out and buy a professional camera to take professional photos. Well, sorry, you don't. You're wasting your money. You don't have to do that. Maybe later on in your photography career, go out and buy the whiz-bang gear, but seriously, it's not going to make you a better photographer. So owning or going out and buying a professional camera thinking that you'll take professional photos is a myth, and that's number one. You don't need a professional camera to take professional photos. You just need to learn how to use the camera you've got. Number 2, always shoot in manual mode. Now, yes, shoot in manual mode, but not all the time, because sometimes people don't have the time to shoot in manual. When I was a wedding photographer, I had a wedding photography business for some years, and I always shot in, towards the end, I always shot in aperture priority. Why? Because it was run and gun all the time. I didn't really have time to muck around with the camera in a manual setting. Even though I knew what I was doing, I just took so much time, and I missed a few shots. So aperture priority was the way to go for me. I could set my aperture and I let the camera look after the shutter speed. And in weddings, it's very simple to do. So, and in all types of photography, actually, 90% of my photography these days is done in aperture priority. Very rarely will I use manual unless I'm really struggling to get that right exposure, especially with landscape photography. But no, myth number 2, you don't need to shoot in manual always. Number 3, always shoot in RAW. Very contentious one this, number 3. No, you don't have to shoot in RAW all the time. Sometimes I shoot in JPEG. It all depends what I'm requiring or what I'm shooting or what the image dictates. With my landscapes, it's always in RAW because you've got such a high dynamic range between the light and dark or the shadows and so forth. So you need to shoot in RAW, but you also need to know how to edit a RAW image. So shooting in RAW for some people isn't an option. Some people don't even have a computer. So they might own a camera, but they don't have a computer. So they're not going to be able to really edit RAW images. And in some instances, JPEG works very, very well. But as I said, it all depends what you're photographing. So no, you don't really need to shoot in RAW all the time. Number 4, always shoot in the golden hour. Now, I love shooting in the golden hour. I'm an early morning person. I only sleep 4.5 hours a night. I'm a lunatic, just don't sleep. But I find that I can get up early of a morning, very early, and shoot the golden hour, sunrise, and also in sunset towards the end of the day, of course. But there's some people that don't have time, or they're not morning people, so they can't really get out of bed early because they've worked late all night, or they've been out partying on the drink. They're not going to get up early in the morning to catch a sunrise shot unless they're super keen. And there aren't many of those people around, unfortunately, so you don't always have to shoot in the golden hour. For people that are short on time, they might only have one day a week, maybe on a weekend. They've got things to do, they've got family to look after. Maybe they can only shoot in the middle of the day. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. People say, oh, you shouldn't shoot in the middle of the day. That's true, but what happens if you've only got that amount of time or that small window to take your camera out? And if you're going to shoot in the middle of the day, I suggest you learn what we call the Sunny 16 rule. And that'll be another video for another day. And I'll actually go out into the field and show you how you can shoot in the middle of the day using the Sunny 16 reel. So yes, go out and shoot in the middle of the day. Don't let that hold you back. If that's the only time slot you've got, go. Get out there with your camera and start taking photos in the middle of the day. Not ideal, but if that's the only amount of time you've got, go for it. Number 5. And this one really is an oldie, but it's a good one. Always shoot with the sun behind you. Yes, do that. But what about shooting with the sun in front of you? Why not? If you want those beautiful sun starburst effects, close down your lens, use a smaller aperture to get that starburst effect. I use that a lot in my landscape photography. Usually I shoot at f11, but I can go to f22, and I don't really worry about the diffraction because the starburst or the sunburst is what I'm after. So shoot into the sun. Don't be afraid of that. Your subject will be backlit. And in some instances, a backlit image is beautiful to look at, really, really good. So always shoot with the sun in front of you as well as behind you. These rules in photography aren't set in stone. Now, I've been doing this for 38 years and I have not received any notification from anybody telling me that you have to do this, you have to do that. No, you don't. You don't have to do it because it's not set in stone. It's not law. Just go out and have fun. Break these so-called rules of photography and create some images that you're happy with yourself. I mean, seriously, there's 5 myths that I think I've just busted open for you. So that's it for another episode of Sniper Photography. I just want to say thank you to all the people that support me on this channel. I do work very hard at this, and this, for people that do have YouTube channels, I really appreciate the amount of work that goes into their videos or their vlogs on YouTube, because it's not easy to do, but I get a great enjoyment out of teaching people, and people that don't even want to learn or people who want to criticise, feel free to contact me and I'd love to speak to you. So that's it for another episode of Sniper Photography, and as I always say, be nice to yourself, family and friends, but most of all, keep shooting, get out there and have fun. Bye for now.